BBC. Coming up, enter the starlets, the future footballers waiting to shine.
Lady Thatcher has been in Cambridge today, where work is beginning on creating an archive of her private papers at Churchill College.
Under the 30-year secrecy rules, many of the most sensitive documents will remain hidden from view for some time yet. But Kim Riley has been into the vaults for a sneak preview.
Until now, he's had it all his own way. Winston Churchill's private letters have been the jewel in the crown of the college's archive centre. But this morning, I was invited into the strong room to get the measure of a rival collection given to the nation by another great Tory leader.
Now, this is the place the people here refer to as the Holy of Holies. In here is the raw material of history, and of course, it's absolutely priceless. This is what's just arrived. It's the Thatcher collection, 2,500 to 3,000 boxes, possibly 1 million pieces of paper, and it's all got to be catalogued.
And that's likely to take at least 5 years. It's a huge undertaking for archivist Andrew Riley. Funds are now being raised for a £4.5 million extension to provide the collection with a permanent home.
It's a tremendously exciting thing. We've got 460 collections here, of which the two main ones are those of Churchill and Lady Thatcher, and this makes us into the equivalent of 2 American presidential libraries run on a shoestring in East Anglia. So it's an amazingly exciting experience doing it.
Lots of Churchillian overtones to the material already on public display. A group of politics students, all Thatcher's children, gave their verdict on her legacy.
She was one of the great figures of my lifetime, and I certainly think that she did a lot for this country.
Whenever you think back to the 80s, you think of, like, Reagan, Thatcher, and, Duran Duran or whatever. She's, like, synonymous. She's synonymous with the whole thing. She's a real, like, phenomenon.
She's an interesting woman, obviously the only female Prime Minister we've ever had, so I have to give respect for that, but I wouldn't say I'd admire her, no.
She's trying to draw on the influence of Winston Churchill to kind of give her own archives a kind of gravitas and authority that perhaps if she'd put them somewhere else they might not have had.
I think that it's a fair comparison, both being Conservative Prime Ministers and then both being leaders during successful military campaigns.
Today, Lady Thatcher was guest of honour at the university's Judge Institute of Management Studies. Her foundation's given £2 million to fund a professorship of enterprise studies. What was the message she hoped would come through from her mountain of private papers?
Well, the experience of having had certain strong principles and sticking to them, and that it works. But the beliefs have to come first.
It's often said that Lady Thatcher's more popular abroad than she is actually at home. And how about this? Not a Tory blue rosette, but the emblem of an organisation calling itself Thatcherists for Russia. This is Kim Riley for BBC Look East at the Churchill Archive in Cambridge.
That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder how many times in her life she's been bracketed with Duran Duran.
I can't think it's too many, to be honest, no. I must admit, I would have loved to look in some of those boxes. Fascinating,
yes, I would.
Absolutely.
I wonder if she's got any Duran Duran records. Margaret Thatcher, a Durani. A few years ago, you could still name every footballer who'd been sold for £1 million. These days, that's very cheap. So what do clubs do if they can't afford that kind of money? The answer, of course, is to grow their own stars.
And Norwich City is just one of many clubs investing in wannabe players through its academy. And tonight, the young Canaries take on the might of Manchester United.
The Manchester United team arriving in Norwich today. Not Scholes, Butt and Beckham, but the next kids on the block. The Manchester United Academy is a model, one that clubs like Norwich must emulate to survive. If you can't beat them, breed them.
David, better than that.
Norwich City has 150 young players at its academy. They're the supply line to the first team. It's seen as a major investment.
It's absolutely vital that the development programme has really worked out. For many years, we accepted the fact that the boys were going to come out of the streets and just appear. And that didn't happen. You've either got to have an open chequebook or you've got to produce players.
The Willis family is doing its best to produce players. Meet Adam, Sam, Ollie and Ben. 10-year-old Sam and 14-year-old Ollie go to the academy. Parents Jane and John are very proud. And when they're not training, they've got their brothers to knock around with in the back garden.
Mind the flowers! Lots of dirty football boots and lots of dirty floors. But mainly they love every moment of it, so it's worthwhile.
They all support Norwich City. Good job, otherwise you'd have problems.
Good job we didn't have any daughters as well, else we might have to go to ballet or something.
These are just the kind of youngsters Norwich need to nurture. Adam's only 6 and he's not much bigger than his boots, but he's already showing potential. His brother Ollie joined the academy when he was just 8 and he can already out-trophy Old Trafford.
I hope to become a professional and play for Norwich, really.
And what does your last report say?
It weren't too bad. I just have to work on my head in a bit.
With Dad in goal, they've got a decent 5-a-side team. Any more than that and the washing machine would stage a walkout. Sean Peel, BBC Look East, Norwich.
Why does Dad have to be in goal?
Well, he just has to. He's bigger than anybody else.
Yeah, if you play in the garden, you have to go and fetch the ball if you play in goal, which is terrible. Julie, hello.
Hello there.